Ruby the rabbit studies the vest she has spent the last 2 weeks stitching together. William the worm cherishes the vest Ruby made for him. Ruby has a knack for making them waterproof. Barney the bird enjoys his vest as well, because now he flies faster whenever he wears it. In fact, no animal in Galewood understood why the clothes Ruby made for them improved their lives, only that they did. Ruby stands at the center of her burrow, listening to the song of birds and crickets and the subtle stirring of squirrels. In her paws is a handful of tiny sweaters made for a litter of mice, the newest additions of Galewood. As winter is thawing, Molly the mouse is struggling to keep her new litter warm. Ruby sets the sweaters beside her other creations and looks at each one. A pair of socks for Michael the mole, a turtleneck for Peter the peacock, shoes for Steve the spider, a scarf for Francine the fish. Everything is in order and ready. Eager to receive their new clothes and hungry for breakfast, the animals of Galewood are abuzz with life while the sun rises. Tall elm trees are homes for squirrels and birds, and their trunks offer cozy refuge for mice and moles. Warm winds from the prairie wash through Galewood and over the surface of the lake into the horizon. Ruby crawls out of her rabbit hole and sniffs the spring gales. The aroma of earth and dew thrills her. The earth is warming, the air is cool, and the soft golden rays of the sun shimmer through the canopy above. Birds sing as critters scurry about. Ruby finds a few dandelions and nibbles on them, scanning the forest floor for her companions. "Hello, Ruby," William the worm says, poking his head out of the dirt. "I expect Ollie the owl to return soon. He promised to bring many flowers to celebrate our new wardrobe." William slithers out of the hole as he says, "Let me remind you, that vest you made has protected my skin from water and salt. I am grateful and blessed to have you as a friend." Ruby glances at the sky above and notices Ollie. His wingspan is wide, and he moves through the sky with silent grace. His pure white feathers melt into the clouds, nearly invisible as he descends, carrying a dozen roses. Ollie lands beside William and drops the roses. He says, "Mornin' to the both of you. Ruby, I brought you some roses. Thank you for my vest, because now I can fly without making a whisper." Ollie swivels his head to the right and studies the forest. It seems there is a fog rolling in from the south, and it should be here soon. Also, while I did my morning patrol, I noticed a creature approaching Galewood from the prairie. Ruby looks in the same direction as Ollie, staring down a long, beaten path. It veers north out of Galewood and is devoured by thick, gray fog. Beyond the wood are hills and valleys, lands only Ollie has seen. Suddenly, the birds sitting atop their branches cease in their song, and squirrels climbing about slink into their homes. The crickets stop their chirping, and for a moment, everything in the forest seems still. As the air remains motionless, the forest silent, and all the animals of Galewood peer out from their homes, Ruby stands in wait. A single white paw steps through the fog, pressing against the dirt path. Close to the ground is an orange and white muzzle. A black nose huffs in the dirt, leaving a cloud of dust in its wake. Dangling from its mouth is something hardly recognizable. For whatever reason the creature came, and what it needs does not matter to Ruby. She knows a fox when she sees one and steps closer to her burrow. The fox skulks forward, heaving with each step as its head drops low. Suddenly, it collapses, kicking up a plume of dust. Then, breaking the silence, the fox whines. It says, "I have fought off a vicious creature. A cat has scratched my face, legs, and bitten my muzzle. Wonderful creatures of the wood, will you give me your mercy and provide aid?" Ruby hops down the dirt path, bringing herself close enough to see the fox moaning as it lies on the ground. Ollie flutters away and circles the fox, scanning its muzzle and limbs. 3 crimson scratches stretch from the fox's nose to the back of his jaw. Torn pieces of gray and black fur lie motionless between its teeth. The odor of spoiled milk overwhelms Ollie. In a single fell swoop, Ollie returns to Ruby. He says, "It seems the animal in question is an injured fox. He is not lying because I have seen the dead feline in his mouth and the scratches on his muzzle." Ollie turns toward the fox. Also, he smells like rancid milk. "What is your opinion, Ruby? Should we help him or leave him where he lies?" Ruby hops a few feet closer and smells the air. She says, "I smell it too, the spoiled milk. Perhaps the fox is a nursing mother?" Ollie shakes his head. "No, I don't think so. I don't see any pups, but I believe this is the same creature I saw in the prairie approaching the village. He did not walk with a limp or whine in agony as he crossed the prairie." Ollie sighs. "Proceed with caution, Ruby. He may be nothing more than a sly fox." The fox yelps, "Is there no one who can aid me? I have guarded this wood by slaying this feline. Will no one help me as I have helped you?" Peter the peacock cranes his head forward and studies the fox. He says, "A skittish rabbit would hide from the wind on a breezy night." Peter turns toward Ruby. "Be gone with you. This is not a rabbit's business." He steps toward the fox. With each stride, his feet press down on twigs and leaves, breaking and crunching them as he approaches. His head bobs forward and then back with each step he takes. Peter nears the edge of the fog where the fox lies. The air is thick and the fox whines as it looks up at Peter. A strip of fur drapes over the fox's bottom teeth as he cries. Crimson scratches, strips of fur, rancid milk. Peter smells it all, studies it, smells it. He whispers, Yes, you are quite injured. I see a small scratch here, one there. Maybe those are teeth marks on your tail, but your tail, it seems off, especially the tip. I do not know. Can't really explain it. Anyways, I believe a bandage made of beetles and a splash of fish goo should heal you right up. Yes, indeed. Peter tilts his beak to the sky and smugly glances at Ruby, only to return to trotting around the wounded animal, eyeing its limbs and injuries. As Peter examines the fox, Ruby remains still on the dirt path. A flurry of forest animals rushes to aid the fox. The rats carry small bandages, birds bring sticks and splints, worms heave large aloe leaves, and even the mice sacrifice their cheese for the good of the wounded beast. Ruby stands behind, watching as the fox rolls onto its back and whimpers. Peter walks in a circle around the animal one last time before saying, "Critters of Galewood, I, Peter the Peacock, the greatest doctor this wood has ever known, and your leader, hereby declare this wounded animal the newest member of our village. He is suffering, and I believe he was wounded when he defended us from the feline menace." Ollie stretches his wings and says, "Ruby, I do not have a good feeling about this. Look at them flocking around someone known to be a predator. Foxes hunt owls, rabbits, mice, and maybe even peacocks. Ruby, I am certain we are in the company of a Sly Fox." Ruby studies Ollie and then returns her focus to the fox. She says, "This is why I am back here. We have all seen foxes hunt us. Is this fox somehow different just because he whines and whimpers? I do not know, but I shall remain back here until I am certain he is not a Sly Fox." Ollie nods and says, "Wise of you to be reserved. I wonder if they would flock to him so eagerly if he were an injured snake. Excuse me, Ruby, but I must take my leave to learn more about this fox. Perhaps try to figure out why he smells like milk. I may be gone for a few days, if not weeks. Until I return, be wary of what he says and watch what he does." Ruby nods. "I understand. It is wise to be wary of strangers who extract sympathy, for they could weaponize empathy and use it as a tool in their game of manipulation. Remarkable are those with good hearts, but alas, Ruby, as you know, good hearts can be led astray." Ollie clears his throat. Ruby taps her paws together, nodding in agreement. "I shall return to my burrow and secure my stores of food, because I, too, have a funny feeling about this Sly Fox. This fox. I apologize. I do not mean to assume that he is a deceiver." Ollie hoots and spreads his wings. As he pushes off from the ground and flies into the canopy above, the murmur surrounding the fox dies down. His leg has been damaged, and crumbs of cheese cling to his lips. As soft gales of wind ruffle Peter's feathers, he remains motionless, staring, studying Ruby. His eyes nearly close, becoming no more than slits. A shallow breath escapes his lungs. Ruby's ears perk up as she returns Peter's long stare. Peter steps closer to Ruby. She glances at her left and then her right. Her nose twitches. She taps her paws together, and as her ears fold down against the nape of her neck, her heart sinks. As Peter approaches, he says, "I see you are not helping the fox. Is everything okay with you?" Ruby says, "I was just thinking of how I could help, and, well, I am a bit scared. He's a predator." Peter extends his wing and wraps it around Ruby. She shivers as he pushes against her back, leading her toward the fox. He says, "Let us not forget that Galewood is a home for the needy, the sick, the poor. We are good people here, and good people are helpful, and he needs our help." As the distance between her and the fox shrinks, she glances at the trees, the brushes, anything that can provide cover should she need it. Ruby says, "Forgive me, Peter, but it is dangerously naive to think that. What if this fox is sly and he is using our sympathy as a means to manipulate us? That is why I am guarded, because these questions swirl in my mind. He is creating a situation where it would be rude to question his suffering, therefore silencing our thoughts. If our thoughts are silenced, are we not censoring ourselves to avoid offending him? Is he truly hurt, Peter, or are you mistaken? Is he appealing to your self-image and validating how you view yourself for no other reason than to lower your guard? You fancy yourself a doctor, and he presents himself as a patient. Is that why you trust him? Through his actions, he validates the opinion you have of yourself. If this much is true, is he not enabling your delusions? Peter, what if your need to be seen as a doctor and the delusions that reinforce it jeopardize us all? Peter pivots his head, studying Ruby with a single eye. Ruby, you think too much and draw conclusions where none should be drawn. I am a peacock, and it is in our very nature to be the smartest, wisest, most beautiful, elegant, and graceful creatures in the wood. So, ignorant rabbit, who are you to imply you know more than I do about this fox? I am gifted when it comes to reading people and situations, and from what I have learned, this wounded, sickly, injured, helpless, defenseless, and harmless animal needs my help. This fox, Ruby steps away as she says, is allowing you to live out that story, therefore validating your self-image, and you are encouraging it. Just like I said, Peter, you are a peacock, not a healer. I do not say this to sour your spirits, but many of the people you have healed either succumbed to their injuries or recovered despite you. Peter turns away and lifts his head. He says, such negativity, coming from an arrogant rodent. I shall heal this fox with crushed beetles and dirt. That reminds me, why did those pests bring aloe vera leaves to the fox? Aloe vera is useless for flesh wounds. Ruby turns away and hops down the path. Peter, those leaves make pain and swelling go away. I've used them myself to heal scratches. And also, I am not a rodent. 2 weeks had passed since the fox arrived. He built a small den in the southwestern part of the forest, and there all the critters of Galewood listened to whatever tale he decided to weave. Each night there was a new story to tell, and Peter always sat beside the fox, hanging on every word and reacting to every twist in the story. In the crackle and glow of a campfire, the creatures of the wood marveled as the fox boasted of slaying 3 dragons, expelling 5 wizards, saving 3 beautiful princesses, and liberating 1 kingdom. The fox was always the hero in his own story, and over time, the animals of the wood grew accustomed to the lingering stench of rancid milk which followed him. No one dared to ask why the fox's den smelled, because Peter would remind them that it was quite rude to ask. Ruby kept her distance and watched as the animals of the woods swooned over the fox. She heard his stories secondhand from either Molly the mouse or William the worm. When asked if they saw milk in the fox's den, they couldn't recall seeing even a single cup. All was well in Galewood until a litter of mice ran away, leaving behind a note. Ruby was the first to notice the note posted on the door of Molly's burrow. She read the letter and reminded herself that newborn mice wobble to where they need to go. How could they possibly run away and leave behind such a detailed letter? When Molly found the letter, she plucked it from the door. The letter read, "Dear Mother, we have ventured into the forest to fetch some berries for you. We will return, we promise. If we do not return, it is because you are a terrible mother." Molly and Marvin wept as they read the letter. Presently, Ruby curls into a ball deep in her burrow. She listens to the faint cries of Molly and Marvin, often broken with questions that will never be answered. Where are they? What did we do wrong? When will they return? Why can't we wake up from this nightmare? Why were we such terrible parents? Ruby taps her paws together because she knows the fox is somehow involved. Suddenly, an idea hatches in her mind. As the fox sat before the campfire weaving yet another tale, Ruby slinks deep into the fox's den and sniffs the air, searching for the baby mice. The dirt is dry and caked. An odor catches her attention. Deeper into the den, she follows it. Ruby knows this smell. Her heart shatters as she lurches forward, deeper and into the darkness. In the distance, a shallow mound of dirt is seen, and protruding from it is a single bone, smaller than a toothpick. Ruby inches closer to the pile and sniffs the mound of dirt. Tufts of fur, bones, and the odor of decay confirm her suspicions. She is in the company of a Sly Fox. She digs through the pile and finds a heap of tiny bones and an owl's skull. Ruby's eyes widen as her ears drape across the nape of her neck. She whispers, "The babies. Ollie. Oh no. What is she doing in my den?" shouts the fox. "Behold, caught in the act. I see the faint glimmer of bones beneath the mound of dirt. Accuser! Ruby is burying bones in my den so that she may accuse me of murder. Of murder!" The fox points at Ruby as she stands at the entrance of the den and bellows, You rabbit! What have I done to deserve your betrayal? Tell me. No. Tell us." Ruby turns around as tears pull at the edge of her eyelids. Every animal in the village stands still, arms folded and judging. The squirrels, rabbits, groundhogs, and even Molly and Marvin glare in her direction, their eyes full of suspicion, and on their tongues hang accusations. Ruby whispers, "Ollie, Marvin, you're... She struggles to find the right words. "Ollie, he's dead. His skull is right here, licked clean. There are other bones, small bones." Molly steps forward. "Shame on you. Shame, shame, shame. Our babies are out collecting food, collecting berries, and they will soon come to their senses. They'll come home." Ruby turns away from the crowd. "Molly, you don't understand." "You don't understand," Marvin interrupts. How dare you use our missing children as an excuse to drive out Fredrick the Fox? Peter steps forward between Ruby and Marvin. He whispers, "Such ignorance. I expect no less from a rabbit. They have a nasty business for causing trouble. Come out here at once." Ruby crawls out of the den and stands before the animals of the village. Fredrick sits beside Peter as he studies Ruby. "You owe Fredrick an apology. To make such accusations, to commit such an act of betrayal, how can we, no, how can I ever trust you again?" Fredrick wipes a tear from his eye. He says, "Ruby, I truly admire your work. When I had lunch with Molly, she told me how snug and warm her vest was. Michael said the same. At brunch with William, he boasted about how his skin was protected from salt. When I saw Ollie in the prairie, he gleamed with pride as he talked about your vest. Ruby, I truly hoped I would win your favor because I want a cloak. I want that token of friendship. I want to know that we are friends. The cloak, it truly doesn't matter." Ruby steps away. "You are Sly Fox. We will never be friends." Fredrick sniffles. "It breaks my heart knowing that you feel that way. All I ever wanted was to be your friend and wear a cloak made of peacock feathers. Such a garment would be a beautiful symbol of our everlasting friendship." Ruby says, "I will never make you anything." Peter sighs. Then a decision must be made. Tomorrow, Fredrick and I will search the entire wood for Molly's children. We will return at sundown. When we do, you must either have a cloak prepared or leave." Ruby says, "Where will I go?" Peter turns his head and smugly looks away. "That is a problem you must solve." Ruby stands still as the cool wind pushes against her fur. She tries to make sense of what is happening, searching for a word to describe what she feels. As she ponders, the critters of the wood return to their homes, leaving only her and Fredrick. Fredrick sits up and says, "Ruby, Ruby, your craftsmanship is beautiful. I have seen your handiwork spread across the entire land. In forests you cannot even imagine. There are squirrels wearing your vest. There are worms wearing your socks. They praise them for their comfort and admire their beauty. Please understand that I came here to protect you from the outside world, because there's a threat coming, an evil that is jealous of your handiwork." Ruby exhales and softens her posture. She begins to truly listen. Fredrick continues, "You are more than a mere rabbit. You are full of grace, wonder, spirit, and awe. I don't know where we went wrong, but I hope you will come to trust me. Do not worry about the cloak. It does not matter. Only our friendship does. That is all I have ever truly cared for." Tears erupt and flow down his muzzle. Ruby's heart fills with guilt and shame. She says, I don't know." I thought you were lying. Why would I lie about something like that? Murder? Eating mice and an owl? If I had done those things, I surely wouldn't have stuck around here. Ruby, please look at me, please. Ruby stares in stupefied wonder as Fredrick says, I don't know why you placed those bones here, or perhaps someone else did. I simply don't know, and the embarrassment and shame my heart carries because of such accusations makes it difficult to carry on. Fredrick lowers his head and glances at Ruby. Tears fall from his eyes as he whimpers, I don't know why you accused me of murder, but in doing so, you ripped my heart out. But that is okay. I think you are a good person who is just trying to do what's right. Ruby stands still and taps her front paws together and sniffs the air. She thinks of words to describe the storm brewing in her mind, but fails to find even one. She remains silent. Good night. I hope one day you will call me friend. Fredrick weeps as he limps into his den, and once inside, he curls into a ball on the floor. He quietly whimpers as Ruby slowly starts to walk away. We're not done with you, Ruby. You ought to be ashamed, Molly says. Ruby turns around, realizing she didn't even know Molly was standing beside her. Molly continues, How dare you use my children like that? To make a point? They ran away. They said so themselves. I cannot believe you would suggest that the only person who is protecting us ate my children. Do not call me friend ever again, because we are finished, Fredrick moans. Molly, leave her alone. She made an honest mistake. See, even after you accused him of murder, he defends you. Molly turns away and stammers off. Marvin follows close behind, looking over his shoulder smugly. Ruby's head swirls with emotions she cannot yet describe as she stands still against the wind. She feels words on the edge of her tongue, but she cannot describe what is happening. The growing sense of isolation envelops her as she returns to her burrow, only to find her supposed friends standing at its entrance. Their noses are lifted, eyes filled with certainty. United, they stand together in the belief that Ruby is trying to assassinate Fredrick's character. Collectively, they think Ruby is trying to make Fredrick look bad by accusing him of horrible things. Why would Fredrick protect us and yet murder us? Such nonsense! Though Ruby could not confirm her suspicions, she knows they do not believe her and will not listen to a word she utters. Ruby slowly hops to the edge of her burrow, and the rabbits close together, forming a wall around its entrance. The leader of the bunch steps forward and says, You are no longer welcome here. We don't care that Peter gave you until tomorrow morning. Friends don't accuse other friends of murder. They don't lie. They don't stir the pot. Ruby, you are not a friend anymore. Ruby hops back. I haven't done anything but express concern. Why do you all trust him so much? You have spread lies, Ruby. Earlier this day, Fredrick told us about how great your vests are, how people beyond the wood love them, and what do? Accuse him of murder and being a Sly Fox. Can you not see that it is you who is the problem? Fredrick has yet to say a single foul word against you, yet you say nothing more about him, Ruby says. What kind of liar would come and announce his deception if he came with the intent to lie? Fredrick knows what you want to hear and tells it to you. He knows that if he says good things about me, it makes me look bad when I say bad things about him. His words are no more than poisoned honey. Leave him be before it's too late. Ruby, stop with all this. Your true colors have shown. We have found you out. Ruby protests her innocence. This Sly Fox has invaded our home, caused division by means of deceit, and now I stand to lose my home, friends, and sense of security. It feels like my world is being flipped upside down, that friends I thought knew me better would not fall for such lies, and all for what? How are you not suspicious? This fox has been here for only a few weeks, but you all have known me for years. I have watched over your children, shared in good memories, and helped with misfortune when it spread itself across the wood. I do not deserve this judgment because I have done nothing wrong, but I am treated as though I am the liar and must prove against logic and reason that my fears are justified, that my suspicion is valid, and hold steadfast in the belief that sitting in company with a known predator is not wise. This Sly Fox weaponized sympathy when he made it rude to question his suffering, because is it not rude to question his motives when he presents himself in a state of need? Isn't this why we are where we are? Is he not someone who takes advantage of good-hearted people who want to help? And so I ask, do you detest me because I challenge your self-indulgent need to help him? Is that why you don't trust me? Because Fredrick appeals to your empathy, your compassion, your savior complex? You want someone to save, and he lets you save him. Isn't that what this is? That fox is taking advantage of your ego, your pride, your need to save something. The rabbit turns away. Together they hiss. Tell us, Ruby, how terrible it must be to view the broken as agents of deceit. Perhaps you do not want to help, and what you have just said is the excuse you use to justify your own apathy. Regardless, Fredrick is a blessing delivered to us to protect us. Leave this place and never return. Ruby closes her eyes as they become wet with tears. She looks away from them in the long, winding path out of Galewood, and so she begins to hop out of the forest, but before she leaves entirely, the animals of Galewood whisper their final message. Ruby, we find it incredibly offensive that you would assume we are so foolish that we would believe so many lies. We are not fools. We know when we're being lied to. Ruby glances over her shoulder. Is it not arrogant of you to assume you cannot be deceived by someone who loves the challenge deception offers? Does this not make you and your pride a worthy opponent in the arena of deception and victory over Galewood all the more delicious? The rabbits retorted. Bah! Stupid words from a stupid rabbit. Ruby says, perhaps you cannot see what's in front of you because you only see yourself in the mirror the fox holds. She turns away and hops down the path, each hop out of Galewood heavier than the last. Ruby wandered the outskirts of Galewood in autumn and dug a small burrow. There she rebuilt her home and stocked it with food, preparing for hibernation. As winter washed over the forest, she slept until its icy grips loosened. She awoke in the spring and met a curious, handsome bunny. Together they started a family, and Ruby felt the joy of childbirth. Now, presently in the spring, she nestles beside her young, sniffing and licking whatever debris may cling to their fur. Her husband, Roscoe the rabbit, slips into the burrow carrying a mouthful of seeds. He says, "Here you go, dear. Found them just across the bend. I had to be quick. There was a fox sniffing around, and it smelled like sour milk, he did." Ruby's heart drops as she glances at her children and then Roscoe. Her brows furrow and ears fall as she says, "Did he follow you?" Roscoe shrugs. "I don't think so, but he's skin and bones. Pretty sure he's looking for a meal." Ruby feels a slight nudge against her side. One of her bunnies is hungry and pushing for food. She rolls over and lets her feed. Ruby thinks, Fredrick is going to find us. He's going to do the same thing here that he did to Galewood. I'm certain he is skin and bones because he devoured everyone in the fall, including Peter. That's what I think anyway. He's desperate, and desperate animals do desperate things. Ruby perks her head up and whispers, Come get your milk before it's gone." The 5 other bunnies hop close to her stomach and press against it. Ruby looks at Roscoe and says, "Honey, did you know that Rachel the rabbit, just down the way, also had a litter of bunnies?" Roscoe smirks. Yes. Is that a question or a statement?" "She can feed the kids, should anything ever happen to me," she says. While nursing her young, Roscoe sniffs the air and glances out of the burrow, unsure if Ruby saw something he has not. Aside from feeding her young and foraging in the forest around the burrow, the day was quiet and uneventful. The sun fell over the horizon and night washed over the sky, leaving little more than silver rays of moonlight and shadows. Presently, Ruby stands in the doorway of her home, looking back at her family. Her bunnies sleep soundlessly while they cuddle with their father. She smells the air, searching for the odor of spoiled milk. It faintly touches her nose, and she looks to the east. Into the night, toward the fox, she hops. Beneath the cold glow of the moon, silently weaving through bushes and brush, Ruby follows the pungent trail. It weaves between trees, through an open prairie, past a small wooden fence, around several hay bales, and then into a red and white barn. Ruby follows it and pauses at the fence. Pigs in mud, cows in their droppings, horses in their unique scents, but above all, the sharp odor of spoiled milk arrests Ruby's attention. She sniffs the air and follows the smell with her eyes. Between two pale white doors, weathered and aged, and into the red barn it leads. As the spring gales brush against her fur and gray clouds gather above, she studies the barn. The sound of oinking pigs and mooing cows spill out from the structure, as does the cries of a single fox. Ruby follows the trail of odor and whimpers, passing through the creaking barn doors. A sturdy chestnut horse glances at her and then looks away, uncaring. At the opposite end of the barn, at the top of the staircase which leads to the loft, sits the Sly Fox, sitting before a lamp, casting a black silhouette across the stalls. Fredrick says, "I knew you would come. I could smell you, but I didn't know where you were." Ruby steps out of the thin sheets of golden light and into Fredrick's shadow. She says, "Fredrick, is that you?" "What's left of me, Ruby?" Fredrick turns around, revealing his bony face and bulging red eyes. "I'm starving. I'm too small to eat anything on this farm, and the creatures of Galewood, they kicked me out." Ruby hisses, "Lies! You ate them." Her eyes drift across Fredrick's body. Upon his shoulders and down his back glimmers a patchy cloak made of peacock feathers. Fredrick says, "What do you think? I don't mean to brag, but it's a fine cloak, isn't it? I wanted you to make it, but I think I did just fine." Ruby steps back, her heart sinking. "I know those feathers. You ate Peter, didn't you?" "Doesn't matter. Someone had to rescue Galewood from his arrogance. Sorry, no. I most certainly did not eat him. How could you accuse me of such a horrible crime? I found these feathers in the forest from a peacock who died trying to slay a dragon." Ruby huffs. "A dragon? Fredrick, give it up. You're a Sly Fox. It's in your blood." Fredrick jumped down from the barn loft. "See? I am a fox. Look at my tail. Look at it." Ruby glances at Fredrick's tail as he flicks it forward. She notices his tail is entirely orange. She says, "Why isn't the tip white?" Fredrick studies Ruby for a moment and slinks to a milk pail. He whispers, "I am a fox, I am a fox, I am a fox," as he dips his tail into the curdled, spoiled milk. He says, See? Mother, brothers, father, and sisters all told me I would never be a fox because my tail is orange. But you see, I have dipped my tail into curdled milk. I am a fox. I am a fox. I am a fox." Gobs of rancid milk drip from the tip of Fredrick's tail. "Ruby, if my tail is orange, and I'm not a fox, and I'm not allowed to return home, and if I don't know who I am I a fox?" Ruby steps closer to the exit of the barn, the image of her family flashing in her mind. "You are a fox, even if your tail is orange. Say that to Mother." Fredrick steps closer. "To my father, my brothers and sisters. Tell them I am a fox." Fredrick smiles. I can take you to them. They're buried behind the barn. That's where the farmer left them to rot. Where he'll put me if he ever catches me. Go, Ruby, and tell them." Ruby's eyes swell with tears. I am so sorry to hear about your family. My heart breaks for you, Fredrick. No pup should ever go through what you went through. Spare me your pity. My family loved me. That is why they chose me to carry the burden of their discontent. But even still, though they are only bones in the ground, I still feel compelled to win their approval. Ruby, they're dead, and so am I. How is it that I still desire their acceptance? Ruby, I am a fox. Fredrick leaps forward, snapping at Ruby. Suddenly, she hops to the left, then the right, and zigzags behind a horse's stall. Drool drips from Fredrick's fangs as he snarls, baring his teeth. He hisses, I tended the young, hunted for them, starved for them, but did they listen when I told them about the farmer and his gun? Ruby, did they? Ruby slinks to the opposite end of the barn and finds a small rabbit hole. Silently and swiftly, she passes through it. Ruby, they only listen to foxes. I am a fox. I am a bloody fox. Why wouldn't they listen? Ruby presses herself against the wooden wall of the barn, and suddenly Fredrick leaps upon the horse stable gate and leans forward. He says, one by one, bang! I watched my sister fall. Bang! I watched my brother stumble over. I watched my mother as she ran, and bang! She skittered across the fields. I watched from the barn just as I was painting my Ruby! Fredrick snaps, drawing closer and snapping. His slobber flings through the air and sprays across Ruby as he lunges forward into the pen. My father's last words, they burn in my mind. I looked at the farmer, not the dragon, as it took aim at my father. I knew no, the dragon did not see me. His last words, what he said, you will never be a fox with a tail like that, and bang. Oh, how he didn't even have the chance to cry. I stared the dragon in the face and barked. Before he could consume me with fire, I ran out of the kingdom. I picked up my baby sister, and into the forest we fled, and Ruby, I could not save the damsel in distress. I could not. I tried to feed her milk, but I couldn't, because my father, he was right all along. I'm not a fox. Ruby heaves a deep breath and sprints between Fredrick's legs, climbing over the stable gate. Fredrick turns around and snaps at her tail, catching a tuft of white fur. Ruby squeals. Fredrick, you are causing others the same pain the farmer has caused you. Your battle is not with me or anyone else, but it's the farmer. He killed your family. My father's last words, my tale. If I am not a fox, then what am I? I hunted villages and brought her their remains. She needed milk. But no matter how much I ate, how hard I tried, I could not nurse her. She withered before my eyes as I struggled in vain. If I were a fox, I would have been able to rescue my baby sister. I rescued the damsel from the kingdom, from the dragon. Ruby, I look like a fox, hunt like a fox, smell like a fox, but I am not a fox. I couldn't save her, all because of my tail, this wretched mistake I cannot control. Lightning crackles outside the barn door. Ruby turns away from Fredrick as he steps closer. He whispers, if I'm not a fox, then what am I? What am I, Ruby? What am I? He smirks as he whispers, anything I want to be, no matter the price. He sprints forward, closing the distance between himself and Ruby, snapping at her tail once more. She runs into the pouring rain and around the side of the barn. He follows, slipping in the mud as he turns, as rain dings and patters against the barn, as the gales increase in ferocity and lightning crackles across the sky. Ruby zigzags through the field and toward the farmer's porch. Snarling and slobbering, Fredrick sprints forth, turning with each turn Ruby makes, his hunger immense, his rage blinding. Wide-eyed and famished, he can already taste her as his tongue dangles from his mouth, flopping from side to side with each movement. As he closes the distance between himself and Ruby, her perfume delights him. Slobber washes out of his mouth as he opens it as far as he can. Suddenly, the farmer's door flings open, and standing in the doorway is the silhouette of the farmer. He wore a straw hat, overalls, and held a shotgun in his hand. He aims at Fredrick. Fredrick's eyes narrow as he notices the farmer. His ears drop back as his tail tucks between his legs. Tears edge on the brim of his lashes as the silhouette reminds him of what truly haunts him. As thunder rolls and lightning crackles across the sky, the farmer pulls the trigger, and no sooner, Fredrick slumps over in the mud. Ruby glances at the farmer and then Fredrick, and there he lies, still as stone. Ruby lays on her side, allowing her bunnies to nurse as she sleeps. It's been a week since the farm incident. Ruby listens to her bunnies suckle as Roscoe organizes the food store. Berries in the right corner, nuts in the left. A small pool of water in between them. Everything they could ever need, for a few days at least, is in its place. Ruby whispers, "When they're done, I plan on visiting Galewood. Now that I know that Fredrick is gone, I feel safe going back just for a visit. I wonder how everyone is doing, if anyone is left." Roscoe solemnly nods, and together they sit until the last bunny falls asleep. Ruby sneaks out of her burrow and follows the long beaten path back to Galewood. The trees are tall and the bushes are thick. A single dirt path carves through and splits the forest. Along both sides of the path rests Galewood. To the left, a collection of homes carved out of trees, and to the right, bushes, shrubbery, and even more trees. Ruby smells the air, new scents and new people. "Why, hello there," a curious creature says from behind the bushes. A single turkey emerges from the thick and pivots his head as he studies Ruby. "My name is Teddy the Turkey, leader of this here wood." Ruby sniffs the air. She says, "Hello." "Here at Barkwood, we welcome any and everybody. As a matter of fact, a jaguar came to us just the other day. Marred with wounds he was." Ruby takes a step back. She says, "You're helping a jaguar? Barkwood?" Ruby glances around. Several birds rest in the canopy while squirrels sit atop their branches. They seem friendly. As she gazes around, she searches for familiar faces, but finds nothing. Ruby looks down the path and notices something immense and orange approaching. Teddy says, "Here he comes now, our guest of honor. Behold, lucky I am to be welcomed by such lovely creatures. Nice to meet you, little rabbit. My name is Jeffrey the Jaguar." Jeffrey extends his paw while he flashes a toothy smile, revealing his fangs. Ruby shakes his immense paw. Jeffrey proudly says, "I come from a faraway land where I have slain ogres, zombies, and evil magicians. I have rescued many, slain many more, but alas, here I am now, injured. You see, I had sprained my ankle defending Barkwood from the canine menace." Ruby's heart runs cold. Teddy smiles quite confidently. "Thank the lucky stars we found him when we did. He surely would have been a goner, but he's here. All we need to do now is go search for Patty's little piglets." Ruby says, "Patty? Piglets?" Teddy chuckles just before speaking in a somber voice. "Oh, you see, Patty the pig just gave birth to a few piglets. They ran away the other night, and they left behind a rather nasty note. Later this evening, we're going to go searching for them, just me and Jeffrey." Jeffrey nudges Teddy and smirks as he says, "Always looking for a way to give back." Ruby steps away. "It really has been nice meeting you, but I was just out for a morning stroll, and I think I'll be heading home now." Jeffrey says, "Oh, dear rabbit. What did you say your name was again? I can escort you home." Ruby looks away. "Oh, no thanks. I live southeast from here, near a farm, and that farmer would surely fire at you. My name, it's Bridget the bunny. I was just out for a morning stroll. I'm gonna head back now. I'll be fine." Ruby slinks past the jaguar, his teeth shining against the morning sun as he smiles. She walks down the path and veers off it, turning around every so often until Jeffrey is gone. Quietly and quickly, she rubs her scent on the grass and wanders aimlessly in circles, and then darts off for the lake. She swims through the lake, ensuring that her scent has been lost and cannot be followed. She does such things because she knows a peacock when she meets one and a sly fox when she sees one. Hey, that's the end of Sly Fox. If you liked this fable, be sure to hit subscribe, let me know what you thought of it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.